Thank you for attending. Some of you, if you want, you can come off of mute and we can chit chat. Let's make this time very financially valuable for you. I have some things that I would share, but they're not as important as the things that you have going on. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that you believe I could share a perspective that would increase your engagement and your income? Sherry turned away, so I'll assume no. Sherry gave me the cold shoulder. All right, so let's do this, gang, right? So let's talk about this. And again, I'm always introducing the idea or the concept, just one thing. You do so many calls during the day, so many things that you're just one. Pick out one thing today that possibly makes sense, resonates, moves you, viscerally gets you excited. Oh my gosh, I can do that. That's simple. One thing. Here's a stat for you. Now, remember, I tend to look at the data, even though we make emotionally charged decisions. I want to know the data. The example that I was giving Heather before others have joined is this, very simply. You could be the best fisherman. You could be the best realtor. You could be the best fisherman on the planet. But if you're throwing your bait in an empty pond, you're not going to catch anything. And then you're going to complain that there's no fish biting the bait. That's because the pond is empty. Interest rates, inflation, inventory. When are we going to stop complaining about that stuff and take our bait to the pond where there are fish? There's only so many times you can drop your empty bucket in a well, pull it up in no water and be like, oh, you know what? I'm about to starve. I'm about to go thirsty. I have to go find another well. Common sense would tell us that. I teach common sense that's not commonly applied. Sometimes we need a little kick in the rear, little somebody in our ear. Think about this. Here's some data for you. I think 2 weeks ago was just released. At a record high rate, renters have re-signed their leases at 85%. It's never been this high in history. Now, think about that. Renters are re-signing their leases at 85%. It's never been this high. I'm going to ask some of you, what do you do? What do you hear? How did you interpret? What does that mean to you as an agent? Anybody? Okay. From my perspective, here's what it means. Less people are becoming a first-time home buyer. They're going to continue to rent because of the interest rates, inflation, and inventory, because of the economy, fear, unknown, etc. It doesn't matter, at record high. So wait a second, does that hurt me as an agent that I'm not going to have as many people to help? I don't want to do renters. I want to do buyers and sellers. Well, think about this, gang. What you could do is start to present your skill set to more investors. Paul, I don't have any. Yes, you do. I'm not working with any investors right now. Yes, you are. But no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, you don't know my pipeline. Yes, you are. Don't continue to bring a problem to my solution. It doesn't work that way, gang. I'm giving you the data. I'm giving you my interpretation, my perspective, which doesn't need to be yours. But think about this. From what I've learned over 27 years of lending, investors are not as concerned about the toilets, the color of the tile, the color of the paint. Investors look at cap rate. Buyers look at comp. Comp and cap, comp and cap, comp and cap. What's the difference? There's less emotion with a cap rate. Is that property going to make me money? Yes, let's buy it. There's less emotion there. It's about the facts, the data. I'm going to share this with you because this specifically is exactly what happened. Felicia, one of our coaches, friend of mine, been working with her for 3 years, lives in Naples. She's got a lot of properties listed, a lot. So what I taught her was, let's start to introduce these properties as money-making properties to investors. Let's talk about various programs that convert that into an investment property. She has been working with a woman for a year and a half. Now, I need you all to think about this. Maybe some of you have done that with a buyer or a seller, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to sell something here. This is driving me crazy. A year and a half. She then starts to market some of the listings as investment properties. She communicates with one of her buyers, gets me on the phone with the buyer, and we educate the buyer about how we're going to take this $1.2 million property and turn it into an investment property. It's never been rented out, ever. 3 days later, that buyer is under contract. She's buying the $1.2 million home. That's a good payday for Felicia and Paul. But it is for you as well. The property was never listed as an investment property and never rented. Felicia created her own economy with the mentality of what I just shared with you, which means you could all do the exact same thing. And then we go back to you creating the problem to my solution. I don't have any investors. Yes, you do. Here's the data. Depending geography where you live, between 20 and 27% of all tax prepared returns are investors. Let's assume you're on the low side, 20%. Low side, 20%. Fact check me. 20% are investors. So what does that mean? Well, Paul, how would I know that? How would I get to those people? How do you get to an investor if you don't have an investor, theoretically? Your accountant and your financial advisor. Those are the two people that know who their investors are. Those are the two people that know how many properties the person has, how many properties the one guy or girl wants to acquire or wants to sell. They know that information. It's a phone call away. If I'm calling my accountant today, here's the one thing. If I'm calling my accountant today, I'm saying, yo, Heather, Paulie, listen to me. I just learned some incredible statistics that can help both of us. The incredible statistics is 85% of renters re-up their lease. They're not buying. They're going to continue to rent, which means I need to get in front of more investors and bring investors to you. Let me ask you this question, because the nationwide statistic says that 20% of all filed tax returns are investors. How many tax returns you filed last year? 300. That means you got about 60 people that own multiple properties. How come I never met any of these people? How come you never talked to me about, listen, I'm not pissed off. I'm excited. I'm sharing this with you now because I want to meet some of those investors. I want to meet some of those buyers. I want to do some classes maybe around a 1031 exchange, maybe about DSTs, Delaware Statutory Trust. I have some people now that I could bring into our space that could give your clients an education they may have never heard before. How versed are you in opportunity zones, especially with the new big, beautiful tax bill with Trump? He's implemented advantages for those investors. How versed are you on that? You're the accountant. I'm sure you know about it. Let me bring in the QI. Let me bring in the financial advisor. Let me bring in the people that are helping investors learn more about how to defer paying the government anything. Does that appeal to you, John, accountant? No, Paulie, it doesn't. This is our last phone call, John. You guys could do whatever you want to do. That's the one call that I would make today if I were you hearing that information. Now, that's me. I'm asking you if we could chat for a minute and tell me what your thoughts are, because again, you're going to have 37 things coming at you today. How do you disseminate what actually moves the needle? How do you disseminate what isn't sent to you as a distraction as opposed to a deposit? You need to make deposits today. Don't get distracted. So is this potentially a deposit opportunity, or is it a distraction? Give me your thoughts. And Heather, I just dumped on you last week. Heather and I did a private call. We had a couple of agents on. We talked about seller-held financing, which is an absolute goldmine. And I have 2 more appointments today with the real estate agent and their sellers because they want to learn how to implement that immediately. From what I taught last week, that was the one thing. Take it, apply it, boom, go. Well, here's another thing. Holy crap, Paulie. I didn't even get caught up on the seller financing thing yet. And now you're telling me about investors. Then do nothing with this. Don't allow this to be a distraction. Take notes, put it on the side, stay in a lane where it moved you the most, where you believe you'll now have a deposit as opposed to a distraction. Any thoughts? Nothing swirling? Any thoughts, Sherry? Sherry Shay, you got any thoughts at all? You're here. I assume your volume's on. What are you thinking, Sherry?
I'm thinking that I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm at my W-2.
Oh. If you ever like to chat when you're outside of your W-2, give me a call. We can chat and we can try and role play this to get you away from your W-2. Nonetheless, we don't want to get her fired before she's ready to leave. Margie, Heather, Linda, what are your thoughts? Anybody have an idea about now hearing that information? What do I do with that? And if it's nothing, it's nothing. It's okay. You're in charge. Deposit, distraction. It's one of those two things.
My biggest struggle with the investors has always been, quite honestly, they demand a lot from me because they want me to do a lot of footwork, a lot of math work, just a lot more than my average. So I have kind of steered clear of them only because I feel like you kind of have to specialize just to work with the investors so that you understand the vocab.
So that's a very, very good observation. Then this would be in the category of distraction.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? And this is
Yeah.
good for you because you and I talk about sometimes I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And I say, baby, just write down one thing. That's it. The list of 30 becomes one. So just because, and from my perspective, I have to do a bunch of these calls and continue to paint the canvas with a different brush because what makes sense to Linda today didn't make sense to you today. That's okay. Then you get the hell off
Right.
this call and go find the deposit. So the thought process is this is interesting information, but not applicable to the lane I'm in. That is a distraction. Excellent. Move it to the side and do nothing with it. Love it.
Okay.
Linda, your thoughts?
Yeah, this feels like a distraction to me.
Perfect. Margie.
Sorry, I had to take a phone call. I I have like I think well, I think you're brilliant. You have so many great ideas and I write them down and my problem is I have too many great ideas. I have too many things happening and I'm trying to keep the ball in the air with all of them and I'm trying to make money and my biggest frustration right now is I have a committee of it's me and 5 guys. We formed like a group. The attorney in the group, and I worked with him and we became a nonprofit. So that really opened a lot of doors to us getting into places because it just like lowered the temperature. Like people now want us to come into their communities and talk and, do all this stuff because we put ourselves out there that our main focus is education for seniors and their families. I have made several deals through this group. I've found several several sellers. I'm mostly a listing agent for seniors real estate and a lot of leads from the attorney. But the other guys in our group are not contributing as much. And that's like my biggest frustration with the group because I seem to take on a lot of the work, like getting out there, talking to these communities to get us in there. Like I'm like the administrator of this group. And the guys are happy to float along with me and do what I tell them to do and pay money towards doing things. But I'm not getting them active except for the attorney. The estate attorney he's fabulous. But
Okay. Margie, I love this. Remember I said in the beginning of the call, your agenda is more important than mine. But if you don't share yours, I'll share mine. And then we'll talk. So again, it's the column on the sheet. Deposit, distraction. That's
right.
it. Categorize it. Linda was clear, Heather was clear, Sherry was clear. Distraction. Boom, we're done talking about it. Move on. You bring up an invaluable point. Thank you for your kind words about me in the beginning. I wish I could record that, but
thanks.
So let's talk about this. Tell me how many people are on this board of directors. You got an estate planner. Who else?
A financial planner. Now he was not the guy I would have chosen. He's an Edward Jones financial planner and I don't know him. And I wanted to do something where, these guys were vetted better, but the attorney just went ahead and invited him in.
That's not a
Um,
problem. That's not a problem.
We have,
So is the estate attorney, is he the biggest rainmaker?
for me, he is, yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I
he
think
said
maybe
this
for the rest of the
financial,
group.
okay. And he said this financial advisor is a good guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So let's play this out, Margie. Here's the role play of the board of directors. Concept is this. BS is what I learned very quickly when I'm interviewing anybody. BS. I need to know his book and his sources. So my question to you, how many clients does a financial advisor have?
I think he told me like close to 500.
Okay, so we'll use 500. Where's he getting his business from?
He does a lot of he did. He's now to the point where he doesn't do as much prospecting as he used to. But so
So now it's just WOM, word of mouth.
yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
So let's stop there for a second. If he does indeed have 500 clients, let's take a look at the data in your world. The data in your world says 3 people out of 100 are going to buy or sell real estate in the next 12 months. That's fact. That's the data. It says that 8 people in 2024 relocated out of every 100. 8 out of every 100. This is why it's important to know the data, ladies. 8 out of every 100 relocated. 6 out of every 100 are going to get married. We've got an incredible divorce rate, over 54% or somewhere hovering around those crazy numbers, and somebody's going to die. My question to you is, when you look at the data I just shared with you, did you interrogate, did you question him as to which one of his 500 are going to fit into those buckets?
Okay.
I'm going to
No, I
assume
did
no.
not.
Right. And this is the part where I give the private help. So you're getting it now because we stopped with the other crap that's a distraction. So the thought process is this. This guy's got 500 clients. If the data rings true, 3 out of every 100 are going to buy or sell real estate this year, which means you have 15 people that are going to buy or sell real estate. See, Margie, right now what's happening is you're relying on his ability to contribute, but nobody's ever actually tested his ability. He is bragging on the fact that he's got 500 clients. He does a great job with money. He helps people make money. That's absolutely wonderful. How are you going to help me make money? The point is, get him to stop talking about him and how he can contribute to you. We're relying on him to do it naturally, and that's rare. You've got an estate planner that's knocking out of the park. That's rare. So now we've got to educate and empower the financial advisor. So again, if we just look through that data, he has a client for you. He's got a client for you this month. Now, keep in mind, I either get a client, BS. So we got BS stands for book and sources. I also got BS stands for belief system. I also got BS that stands for buyer seller. Financial advisor, of the 500 people that you have, how many of them have multiple properties? How about that question? Of the 500 people that you have, how many relocated last year? Of the 500 people you have, how many got married or got divorced? Of the 500 people you've got, how many people would like to own a second home down the shore or in another state? You would know everything about them more than anybody else. If you literally just went down your checklist, you walk away with a client. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He has 500 people. Somebody's getting married, divorced, dying, relocating, getting a new job, wants to buy another property. Family's expanding. You see, gang, there's your pond. Margie, there's your pond, your financial advisor. Now, if he's not willing or interested to learn, he's not your guy.
I really don't think he is, because what I hear is like one of the meetings I said, let's all just like go around the table and tell me what kind of client you're looking for. Like what is it that I can help you with? And his comment was, I'm looking for people that have at the very least, $500,000 to invest, ideally over $1 million. And I don't think that you guys are going to run into many people like that. And I felt very dismissed and actually pissed off. And And so it was that thought, it was that conversation that formed in my mind. I don't think this is the right guy to be here. And I talked to the
Okay.
attorney about it, and I said, dude, I don't think this guy is the right fit for us. And he said, oh, I get clients from him. So I let it go, because if he's
So
getting
again,
clients and he's a rainmaker, fine.
yeah, you've done a great job, Margie, of disseminating whether or not this guy's worthy of your time and a seat at your table. The one thing I did teach before, every great estate planner has a great financial advisor. They go hand in hand. It is hand in glove. So these two definitely exchange clients. They're going to
Yeah.
see that more than you possibly, but this financial advisor has not been given the education. So as an example, let's assume he touts that. I've heard this many times before. This is the criteria I'm looking for. Great. So when I have a client that meets that bucket, how would you like the introduction? Phone, email, text? You tell me. Let me look through my client base right now to see who fits that profile. While I'm doing that, let me share with you my profile. My profile is any human being that's going to buy or sell real estate. Of the 500 people you have, I'm sorry?
I loved it. No, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, of the 500 people that you have, how many of them in the last 12 months bought or sold real estate? Of the 500, Margie, he can't lie
Yeah.
and say none. It would be
Yeah.
a lie. Okay, so I'm backing him into the data that he doesn't identify. He then commits to 2, 5, 10, 20. Great. So moving forward from today, those clients are exactly who I'm looking for. So how do we create this reciprocal partnership that I can get the next client that you have that's buying or selling real estate, and you'll get the next client I have that has the net profit, a net worth of over 500,000. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. It's chess, not checkers, baby. And you were making a checkers move because you got pissed off. Who cares? Your feelings were never taken into consideration. I don't care. It's a game,
Yeah.
darling.
Yep.
Yeah, this is chess, not checkers. And coming here, I'm giving you the tools to then have that conversation. If the guy at this point is just too egotistical and arrogant because he's gotten to a point now where he only takes those clients, he's a jerk because he's forgetting what it was like when somebody gave him his first client. And I put that into perspective. Margie, as this phenomenal financial advisor with 500 clients, and I'm talking fast, gang, because of the clock. As a phenomenal financial advisor with a ton of wealth, everything is fantastic. Let me take you back to day one, when you just got your license and you were really excited, and somebody extended an olive branch to you and helped you out and gave you that first client. How did that make you feel day one? You see, Margie, phenomenal financial advisor, that's where I am. I'm inspired by you. You motivate me, edify the guy. You're phenomenal, but we all got started somewhere. So if you remember how that felt that first time you got that client, that's where I am. Would you be willing to extend an olive branch to me to help me get started to one day be like you? Come on, Margie, everything's a show.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts,
Yes, it
darling?
is.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I do some of that, and I'm
sure.
not starting out. So, I mean, I'm experienced. And so if he doesn't feel confident with my skills, then, I don't know what else is going on there with him. So,
Wait a second, Margie, two things. First of all, it doesn't matter when you got started. That's just a concept of education to get the mind to flip. I'm redirecting his energy. That's all I'm doing. It doesn't matter if you're in business one day or 10 years. That's where I am. I needed to redirect his energy, not validate your level of success. So stand
Right.
down on that. I'm getting into his head. That's what this is, right? Number two, you ultimately decide. And women have what? A sixth sense, and I only have two. When I say, can I give my 2 cents? It's never as valuable as yours, which is 6, because that's what women have. You have a sixth sense, right? So if your gut is churning and this guy's a jerk, then don't do anything with him. Who the hell cares? This was really good practice. It still doesn't mean that he's the guy or not the guy. But when I have that conversation, Margie, what I'm doing is initially I can make the knee-jerk reaction. You're a jerk. You're pompous. I'm not sending my clients to you. You just essentially tried to make me feel less than. You conceded. And for me, that was a challenge. I'm going to win this dude over. Watch. It doesn't mean I like him, get a client or don't get a client. I'm going to take that particular battle and redirect it entirely to now be in a position of power. That's what this was with you right now. So the thought process isn't that this guy's going to love on you and he's going to send you 10 clients. It's not. If that happens, by the grace of God, that would be wonderful. The thought process is, how do I take someone and get them to be a follower? You're taking your information and delivering with influence to persuade, manipulate this conversation and see if I can mentally redirect this energy. That's the victory, darling. That's
Yeah,
exactly
I
what
love it.
this was.
I'm gonna do it.
I would love to hear this. I would love for you to record it. You know me, gang. I record everything. For a whole bunch of reasons. But one of the things I would tell you all, when you have your recordings, if you want to send them to me, we can review them together. The recorded call tells all to Paul. That's the joke, the last part there. But the idea is that you can't refute what you think you said. Let's just play the call. So much is learned in the recorded call because of the tone, the tenor, the cadence, the posture, what they said, what you said, what was missed, what wasn't missed. How about how many ticks you might have in your speech, your delivery, the hesitation, the ums. Wow. So much to learn from that. So in my 27 some odd years experience, that is the best tool I've ever had, because I can't interpret what you think you said, and you need to hear yourself. So for what it's worth, I would encourage all of you to do that. It is powerful. And I'd be more than happy to play any of my calls with you to share that with you as well, because I record everything, whether it's Zoom or on the phone. Thoughts or questions before we go, gang? Margie, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Boy, I'd love to help you build that bot out, because it sounds like you've got something very impressive being established and you've already gotten business from it. Holy smokes. Great job, Margie. Great job. Thank you for interacting. Anything else? Anything else?
I just want to
Come on,
tell
lady.
Margie, I was gonna say, thanks Margie for sharing, because that helped me a bit too.
Yeah, that was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Ladies, have a wonderful day. God bless you. See yous.